TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Fortnite, Plants vs. Zombies, all kinds of stuff. How do you monitor the amount of internet that your students, your kids are watching? And how do you monitor what it is that they're seeing? It's crazy. It's hard. It's tough to try and know what's going on with the latest social media. It's tough to know how much time that students and kids are on their phones, their Xboxes, their PlayStations, their internet viewing of Hulu and Netflix, all this stuff. It is tough. So I've been talking to some parents lately about some of the things that we use, and I wanted to share a couple of ideas with you right here. So the first one is how do you monitor your students or your kids' time on their phones, internet, things like that? Well, there's two things. One, on most smartphones, Apple, Android, things like that, you can go into settings, you can go into parent controls, and you can link all of their phones into one parent control, and you can begin to limit the amount of time that they're given on their internet, their apps, things like that. And so you can do that for free on most smartphones. That it's a little bit time consuming for sure, it's a little bit inconvenient for sure, but you can limit them so that no matter whenever they are on, wherever they're at, once they hit the time limit, so you can say they can be on video game apps for an hour a day, they can be on the internet for an hour a day, and once they hit that limit, boom, their time locks up and they can't get back on there until you unlock it or until the next day. Another thing that we use for our internet here at our house, and something that I'd suggest you look into, is a mesh network. Okay, so we use one called Eero, and it's a mesh network. And so there's these three hubs or kind of routers that you put in different places. So you put one on your main modem router area, and then you put one or two or three, however big your house is, throughout your house. And it basically kind of broadcasts the internet all throughout your house. And so it gives, first of all, it gives a better kind of consistent amount of Wi-Fi throughout the house. The second thing it does is it allows you to monitor every single device. So every device in our house is put onto my phone here and on the Eero app. And so every device that is permanently on here, or even guests, can be put on here, and I have control of them. Okay, so we have an easy to set up guest Wi-Fi as well as our permanent Wi-Fi. So when we have guests come over, we give them our guest Wi-Fi. They don't have access to everything that all of our permanent devices have, and I can control them. So like how much Wi-Fi they get, how much speed they get, how much time they have, all that kind of stuff. I can control all of that. So like with our kids, we set it up that their Wi-Fi turns on and off at certain times throughout the day. So, Monday through Friday, it's a certain time. And then the weekends, they have a little bit extra, right? And so I can go to bed at, whatever time, and my kids can stay up a little bit later than me because they're teenagers and they do that. They stay up a little bit later, but their internet shuts off while I'm asleep. I don't have to manually go in there and do that. Now, there are quite a few. I know like AT&T, for example, we use AT&T. I know that they have it. They have some of those same features on their own app as well, but much better on these mesh systems. Google has a mesh system. There's one, I think it's called Disney Circle, things like that you can get into these parent control mesh systems and really control a lot of those things. Another thing that we use is called Covenant Eyes. Again, both these descriptions or links are in the description. Covenant Eyes, and this is a web filtering, and so it does two things. One, it filters and blocks websites or things, and so there's ads that get popped up all the time. It'll block a lot of those, or most of them. It'll block websites. So there's websites that our kids can't get onto because it blocks it. Also, it'll also send a report for accountability to people that you designate. So you as the parent, you as a youth pastor, a mentor, a small group leader, something like that could be on that list that students send reports to. And then it flags those websites that are questionable, and you get a weekly report, and it says, here's all the questionable websites. And then you can go back and say, hey, hey, what's going on there? What you're looking at? Sometimes it's not. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he said that he was working at a church, and this is a long time ago, and his pastor was like, hey, what's this fantasy football? We're kind of confused. We're kind of worried about that. And so he had to explain that fantasy football was an appropriate website. But sometimes even our kids, they'll be searching something and it'll pop up a website, and and so it'll get flagged for things like that. And so you just got to opens up this conversation for accountability and just let them know, hey, we're here for you if you need help, and to know. But also it blocks a lot of things. And so this is a tough area with more and more kids getting phones younger and younger and younger. How do you monitor what they're seeing, how long they're on, all of that? It's tough. And so getting some tools, Eero is a good one for blocking or limiting, setting schedules for Wi-Fi. Covenant Eyes is great for accountability and blocking websites. Also, on a lot of phones, you can go ahead and do that within their apps, but again, a little bit more limited, and they do have parental blocking, things like that. And so even on Eero, you can pay on the paid subscriptions. You can get some of the more heavier duty filters that'll block out ads, block out websites, things like that. Now that is a paid subscription that you'd have to be a part of. But again, want to encourage you guys as youth pastors, kids pastors, lead pastors, help your parents out, help your families out, help your own kids out. If you've got kids, help your kids out. Don't just give them free access to whatever, and find some of these solutions so that you can go to bed feeling secure that, hey, my kids aren't going to just be up all night playing Fortnite, but it's going to turn off, right? So again, internet safety is a huge deal. It's growing, growing, growing. And so here's just a couple tips that we've used that I would suggest. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you guys. We'll see you guys soon.